It begins as a whisper, a joke made at your expense, a tone shift in the room, a glance too long, a smile that carries something darker underneath. And most people, they ignore it. They brush it off. They tell themselves it's not worth reacting to until it happens again. Louder, sharper, more public. And by the time they feel the need to respond, it's too late. Because disrespect ignored is disrespect approved. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. In a world obsessed with power, reputation, and dominance, he knew respect isn't something you earn. It's something you enforce. And when someone disrespects you, your next move determines everything. Not just what they think of you, but what everyone watching learns about how to treat you from now on. Because disrespect is rarely personal at first. It's a test. And if you fail it, you're not just marked as weak, you're marked as safe to disrespect again. So, when someone disrespects you, do this not later, not in theory, immediately. You go silent but not passive. Because here's the first Machiavellian law of handling disrespect. The person who acts emotionally loses status, but the person who withdraws strategically becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability creates fear. Silence doesn't mean ignoring it. It means withdrawing energy. You don't laugh it off. You don't pretend to miss it. You don't explain how it made you feel. You make them feel your absence in your gaze, in your tone, in your refusal to keep the energy flowing. It's a hard pause in the rhythm they were trying to create. A sudden black hole in a conversation they expected to control. Because disrespect only thrives when it gets feedback like laughter, defensiveness, or appeasement. But when it's met with cold stillness, it reveals itself for what it is, a cheap, desperate grab at dominance. Machiavelli never struck first. He watched. He allowed his enemies to reveal themselves fully, confidently, before ever responding. And when he did, it was never with apology. It was with precision. That's your next move. Mirror back the violation. Not through insult, not through retaliation, but through question. Because when someone disrespects you, they expect an emotional reaction. They want to trigger your insecurity. What they don't expect is exposure. So you hold eye contact. You tilt your head slightly, and you say, with surgical calm, "Did you mean to say it that way?" Or, "You sure you want to repeat that?" Or, "That sounded personal. Want to clarify before I respond?" Each line is a controlled incision. You're not denying the attack. You're inviting them to make it again on record, to double down, to make their aggression public. Most won't. Because most people who disrespect you aren't bold. They're opportunistic. They test boundaries to see who will check them. And when you meet their move with silent tension and cold clarity, they begin to doubt their position. And that doubt is what you want. Not revenge, not drama. Doubt. Because the person who causes doubt in others, who makes people hesitate, stumble, correct themselves around them, doesn't need to demand respect. They radiate it. But here's where the game gets deeper. Most people can handle one moment, one confrontation. What they can't handle is consistency. If someone disrespects you once and you handle it, good. But if they sense that the door is still cracked, if your energy goes soft again later, they'll test it again. So the third step is this: reframe their relationship immediately. You don't return to normal, you don't pretend nothing happened. You redraw the line in how you speak, how you show up, and how unavailable you now become. Machiavelli knew that public punishment, when justified and timed well, not only ends a threat, it educates the room. So if the disrespect happened in front of others, let your new posture echo louder than any comeback could. Withdraw your warmth, sharpen your language, refuse their invitations. You don't need to announce the shift. Let them feel it. This is what separates the respected from the ignored. It's not dominance through intimidation, it's presence through principle. You've shown the room. I am not available for that. And I won't explain myself to make you comfortable about it. And now the social current flows differently. Others take note. They become cautious. Your name becomes one they speak with more calculation, less ease. Because the person who cannot be disrespected isn't the loudest. It's the one who knows exactly what to do the moment it happens. Not with noise, but with controlled silence, piercing clarity, and total refusal to make comfort more important than self-respect. That's how you end it before it begins. Not with anger, not with ego, but with exactly what they didn't expect. Discipline, distance, and total command of the room. Disrespect is never isolated. It's a signal, a probe, a calculated flick to see how far they can reach before you push back. And once you allow one violation, like one insult masked as humor, one subtle dismissal, or one fake compliment laced with venom, you've taught everyone in the room what your silence is worth. And Machiavelli would tell you, once they see you as easy to violate, regaining control costs double the effort. So in the aftermath of that first encounter, after you've gone still, called the moment without emotion, and distanced yourself, what happens next is just as important. Because people will test boundaries again, not in the same way, but in subtler, more corrosive ways. They'll see if you truly meant it. They'll joke again, just with a smile this time. They'll exclude you from a decision and call it an oversight. They'll make a passive comment and watch your face for even a flicker of hesitation. That's when you make your second move. Reinforce the frame through disproportionate consequence. Machiavelli's philosophy wasn't built on fairness. It was built on effectiveness, and he understood something few people today are willing to accept. If the punishment is equal to the offense, it's forgettable. But if it's greater, it becomes unforgettable. You're not reacting emotionally. You're sending a message. You don't get to play with Met twice. So when they cross the line again, you go colder, not louder. If they made the mistake publicly, you turn the message publicly, but strategically, not through insults, through surgical rejection. They make a comment. You respond by pausing, looking them dead in the eye, and addressing theirest of the group. Instead, they ask you a question. You respond with a single-word answer, then shift your attention. They try to reclaim your warmth. You give them the social equivalent of a closed door. Polite, formal, distant. It's not aggression, it's removal. You're not trying to defeat them. You're demonstrating something more chilling. They've lost access. That's what hurts people the most. Not being insulted, but being ignored by someone who used to acknowledge them. And this is where most people fail. They want to be liked. They want to smooth things over. They want to believe that being the bigger person will earn them admiration. But Machiavelli would laugh at that, because respect isn't earned through forgiveness. It's earned through calculated consequence delivered with silence, not anger. And here's where your real leverage begins. People are watching always. They saw the moment of disrespect. They saw how you responded. And now they're watching to see if you will revert, or if you meant what you projected. This is your opportunity to recast your image. Because image, according to Machiavelli, is more powerful than truth. And your image post-conflict becomes your armor or your exposure. You want your silence to be read as he doesn't tolerate that, or shan't engage if disrespected, or you only get one chance with them. When your name starts carrying those associations, everything changes. People speak more carefully. They stop joking around in your direction. They introduce you to others with terms like no nonsense, sharp, intense. That's your new power. You didn't ask for it. You built it. One surgical response at a time. But there's one more layer, something deeper and more difficult. Because some people won't be stopped by public shame. They don't care about approval. They want your reaction. They thrive on destabilizing others, on being the disruptor, on testing boundaries for sport. And when these types meet someone like you, they either escalate or retreat entirely. If they escalate, that's your cue for the third level of response. Leverage, their disrespect against them. You don't escalate emotionally, and this is where legacy is forged. Not in the heat of the moment, but in the aftermath, when all eyes shift from what happened to what you do next. Do you restore what was lost? Do you allow re-entry? Or do you let the silence remain, not as punishment, but as principle? The truth is, when someone disrespects you and then realizes their error, they're not just seeking forgiveness, they're seeking reassurance that their misstep didn't cost them access to you. And that's when you make your final, most powerful move. You don't reassure, you redefine. You show them that reconciliation is no longer their right. It's now a question mark, uncertain, conditional, earned. Because power doesn't lie in how you retaliate. It lies in what you withhold. You don't need to announce the shift. You don't need to explain your silence. The absence of warmth, the changed tone, the quiet refusal to go back to how it was. That becomes your statement. In the end, legacy isn't built by avoiding disrespect. It's built by how immovable, unshakable, and undeniable you become after it. Because real power doesn't react. It defines the terms, once, and never repeats itself.